Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We had just concluded the topic of Bhuta Jaya, the conquest of 5 elements, and the idea and concept of Bhuta Jaya, that it doesn't mean that the elements become slaves of yogi. And that was an important consideration as to what is the meaning of Jaya, conquest. So, with the Bhuta Jaya coming up, we are told what is Bhuta Jaya. What does the yogi do with Bhuta Jaya? Does he become the ruler on the elements? So it is for what is referred to as Ashtamahasiddhis in yoga. And therefore Patanjali says, Tataha Animadi Pradurbhavaha. Tataha, by Bhuta Jaya. Due to Bhuta Jaya, because of Bhuta Jaya, Animadi Pradurbhavaha. Animadi, Anima. Anima, Mahima, etc. Ashtamahasiddhis are there. We will be shortly looking at those. So the Ashtamahasiddhis are well known to those who are well versed with the yoga texts. So they are referred to as Ashtamahasiddhis. There are 8. And so those siddhis appear. Animadi Pradurbhavaha. What more? Is Tad Dharman Anabhighatascha. Tad Dharman. These elements are working on our existence. So tato animadi pradurbhavaha, then kaya sampada and tad dharma anabhighata. So we know that this body is made up of 5 elements, and therefore the kaya sampada, the embodiment, the body becomes glorious. The 5 elements grace the body of a yogi, and therefore he gets what is called as kaya sampada. And then it is not vulnerable, the body is not vulnerable to the natural changes that take place, which happens to us: change of weather, some cough and cold and fever; change of climate, some change of the cough and cold and fever, etc. So when we change our locations, again, we certainly feel the impact of it. Weather changing, climate changing, all these things definitely impact our body. Our body is not proof to various temperatures, various dampnesses, etc., humidity, etc. Our body is not proof against fire, etc. We know the body is burned by fire. The body is also impacted by air, impacted by anything that hurts the body, by element of earth hurling stones at the body, we are injured. So we know that the body is not proof to all these things. So the 5 elements make our body vulnerable to any change, any onslaught, any impact, any influence. It is quickly taken up by the body. So that's how our bodies are, we mortals. But yogi's body becomes proof to many of these things, to which our bodies are not proof. And then all these 5 elements have their dharma. Like earth is solid, water is the up tattva is liquid, fire is fiery, Prithvi, up, tej, vayu, akash. We can look at those elements in dimensions of physics and understand how they are. And therefore they cause some abhighata, they cause a hurt. And now the body becomes proof to those things. So the five elements create delimitations to our body. Our body cannot withstand all temperatures. It can work in a range of temperatures. So the elemental changes, physical material changes, materiological changes, our bodies definitely suffer with that. So they have certain abhighata, that is, they cause some hurt, while yogi's body becomes proof against that. So it's a very interesting sutra. Tato animadi pradurbhavaha. By bhuta siddhi, animadi, ashtamaha siddhis appear. Kaya sampat tadharman na abhighataha. So there is no hurt, there is no impact, inflictions by the dharmas, the characteristics of the five elements. And the five elements have five characteristics or sets of characteristics peculiar to each of the bhuta. So that is what the siddhi that was mentioned in the previous sutra told us. So that was 3.45 and now this is 3.46. Anyway, the point is yogi gets those great Ashtamaha Siddhis. And as I said, we will be looking at those shortly. Now, why is it just as mother tries to protect the child, her child, in every case, in every condition, now these elements, if you recall, we were told that the elements become like mother, the cow, and the yogi becomes like calf. So like the mother takes every care to protect its child, yogi is protected by elements, because the elements become motherly. That's the aspect of conquest which we saw during the last session. So yogi gets the vatsatva. Vatsatva means a condition of being offspring, a condition of being baby of elements. Yogi becomes the baby of elements, and therefore five elements take care. And therefore the bhuta dharma do not create afflictions on yogi, which is constantly encountered by we mortals. As I just now told you, change of weather, change of climate, change of water, change of place, all these things definitely are afflicting our physical bodies. We have already considered Adi Bhautika Tapa, Adi Bhautika. So that is what is referred to here. Now yogi is not vulnerable to Adi Bhautika Tapa. We had discussed this on an earlier occasion. So Adhibhautika Tapa Paritapa, Adhibhautika Dukkha, Adhibhautika Badha. We need not be now explaining it. We have discussed about it quite a lot on earlier occasions. So now the yogi is protected like a child by the five elements. Then you can understand what is that glorious condition that the yogi must be having when he is said to be having Ashtamaha Siddhis. So, Tato Animadi Pradurbhavaha. Animadi. Anima is becoming atomic, atomization. The yogi can become small in his configuration. Like we have a condition, like because of our dimension of the body, we cannot be creeping under the door. If the door is closed, we are stopped at the door. And in our own house, if house is locked, we cannot enter the house unless and until the door is opened, unless and until it is unlocked. So imagine somebody has locked the house and taken the key and gone out from your house. Now you'll have to wait at the door until that person from your family comes back, unlocks the house, opens the door, then only you can enter. So although it is your own house, you are thwarted. But then we see that we are at the door and small ants and insects, they pass from under the door and enter the house freely. It is our own house, but we cannot enter, but we see that some insects, worms, they pass from under the door and enter the house freely. And something can come out even. The door is closed, but they can come out. Suppose you are inside the house and your doors are locked. You are arrested inside the house, you can't come out. Whereas you will see that the ants and worms can easily pass out from under the door. Why? Because they are small in size. They are tiny in size. So yogi can become tiny, so tiny that he can pass from tiniest of spaces, which otherwise with a body of the natural size it cannot be done. So that's the anima siddhi. That yogi can shrink his body dimensions to necessary degree. Maybe many of you have heard about Hanuman in Ramayana, that he displayed this ability to become small and large, light and heavy. So anima means to become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller in the physical form. So that is indeed a miracle if yogi is able to do that. If the yogi can become small in size, tiny in small size, atomic in size, it is indeed a miracle. So that is the anima siddhi. When it happens to yogi, he is not obstructed. Like we are all obstructed, we are all limited. He is not limited by that aspect of dimension of body. And it should be noted, if it is a yoga siddhi, it will not be a miracle that he would be using for ulterior purposes, ulterior motives, because he is already described as a child, innocent child, and the Prakriti is like mother. The five elements are like mother, therefore yogi is like an innocent child. So he won't be misusing these powers, whereas these siddhis appearing through other means, they can encash, and they do encash. So we know about so-called sadhus and maharajas, so-called great people who use it for material purpose, and that's how people start worshipping them. Anyway, neither does the yogi will be doing this for his own entertainment. He doesn't play with it as entertainment, that he can become small and go wherever he wants to. So he doesn't do it for the sake of pleasure. Like Hanuman, if you see the story, he doesn't do for entertainment. He does that as Rama Sevaka. He does that for Dharma Sadhana. He does that for Bhagavad Kaikarya. otherwise he was not just doing this for his own entertainment and for his amusement. So, then the question can be asked by we mortals, then what is the purpose of having such a siddhi? So, as I told you, it is for deva karma, it is for kartavya karma, it is to facilitate for one to perform one's own duties. Because many times we earnestly want to perform our duties, but then we are not in a position because of delimitations that we get. So to keep the delimitations at bay and perform the kartavya karma, he does it. Yogi will do it. For deva karma, he will do it, like Hanuman. So why yogi does is because why Hanuman did it? For deva karma, kartavya karma, or convenience to carry out the karma, facility to carry out karma, not to be thwarted in carrying out one's own duty, one's own kartavya karma. So also yogi will be doing this to dispose of the huge mountainous karma rashi. We know in the Adhyatma we are told that we have huge mountainous karmas, and we, with our 2 legs and 2 hands and with our physical limitations, we cannot be doing so many things. So suppose it is duty for you to enter the house, but the house is locked. You are kept waiting outside. But then if you have this Anima Siddhi, you can just become small and enter through the door and enter the house and do whatever is your duty. So, for Kartavya Karma, Deva Karma, Nishkama Karma, Bhagavad Seva, Matru-Pitru Seva, Seva Dharma, such siddhis are used, and Hanuman tells us about why these siddhis were used. That is why the yogi also uses, unlike the miracle men, do it to encash it. Anyway, the karma rashis are to be handled with a greater ability and greater facility, and therefore the yogi is facilitated to dispose of the mountainous karma rashi. So also yogi will be doing it like Hanuman did it for Bhutanugraha. Bhutanugraha, to be propitious to beings, other beings, to be helping hand to those people whom, or those beings whom the help is needed, and you can be helping them because of these powers. The yogi does that, uses the Ashtama Siddhis for such purposes. So, Bhutanugraha, Paritrana Sajjana, to protect the virtuous and noble good people. Many times we want to protect someone, but we cannot protect because of the human limitations. Now here, that barrier is broken of human limitation, and therefore you are capable of carrying out that duty or carrying out that act and function to be saving the virtuous people, noble beings. So you can be subserving that way, which is a yogi being evolved in spirituality does it. Paritrana, Sajjana Paritrana, to save noble people, to help noble people, and then to destroy the wicked, or to keep aside the wicked people. For that purpose also they will use these siddhis. They will use the siddhi for Deva Karya, the Bhagavad Kainkarya, Deva Kainkarya, to be observing God. One will have to carry out some extraordinary functions, and that is why they have it, the siddhi such as Anima. So point is, Hanuman, for his Ramakaja means work for Sri Rama. His life was dedicated in servitude of Sri Rama, Bhagwan Sri Rama. So he was always with intent, always alert, always on toes to subserve his master, Bhagwan Sri Rama. And that's why Hanuman in Hanuman Chalisa is described as Ram Kaja Karibeko Atura. He was very, very earnest in carrying out Rama's work, Rama's duty, work for Rama. Similarly is the case of such a yogi. Gyaneshwars, Tukaram, Ramdases, all these people also were endowed with siddhis. And we come to know about their siddhis in their life. If you read their life, biographies, you will come to know that they did perform such miracles. They used these miracles for such purpose and not for amusement and not with any ulterior motive, ulterior purpose, selfishness. So that's why these siddhis become available to yogis, Gyaneshwars, Tukarams, Ramdases, etc. etc. So that is Anima Siddhi becoming atomic. The Laghima, the second of the Siddhi. The Laghima, Lagutvam. Laghima means becoming light. So it is because of our heaviness, we don't have buoyancy, and therefore we cannot do certain things that we want to do, we should be doing, we must be doing, we are disposed to be doing it as kartavya, as a duty, but we cannot do it. Why? Because our weight or the mass puts a restriction on our activity. For a yogi, such an obstruction cannot be there, and with the Mahasiddhis, Astamahasiddhis, he also gets the siddhi to become lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, what is called buoyancy. He can become as light as a cotton fiber. So again, it is not with any selfish purpose, this is to be noted. It is only for Paramartha Prayogam. It is only for Paramartha, it is only for spirituality that they use it. So that is Laghima. And even in life of Hanuman, we come across the Laghima Siddhi that he had. Therefore, he could be afloat, he could be flying. He flew that long distance between Lanka and Himalayas in one leap. So that was because of lightness. He could be easily airborne. So that is Laghima Siddhi. The third one is Mahima. Mahima means to become Mahakaya, Brihadakara, to become huge and large, mountainous. And again, this Siddhi is also seen in Hanuman. Hanuman could become huge in body, and therefore he could easily carry Rama and Lakshmana on his shoulders, take them afloat and carry them from one place to another place by becoming huge in size. That's called Brihadakaratvam, that is Mahima. And in Rama Seva, we do come across this Mahima that Hanuman took recourse to. So that's the third Siddhi. Then comes a Siddhi called Prapti. This is the fourth Siddhi. Prapti means that you get a grasp. There are so many things that you can't be grasping, you can't be reaching because of the distance, etc. But in the Prapti, you can even touch the remote objects. What is called Anguli Sparsha. So those objects which are in space, which are millions and millions of miles away, we cannot be touching them, we cannot be attaining them, grasping them. Whereas the prapti is a siddhi where you can really grasp, you can really access, you can really touch, you can really get hold of those objects which are distant. So this prapti is the siddhi there. Like if you want to perform a karma, but the location of karma is at a long distance, then you are not facilitated to be doing that there and then, because you will have to travel that distance, you will have to reach there and do that. But yogi can get the reach to something, a distant and remote place. If any duty is to be carried out there, he can be in one location, but he can get access and grasp to that distant location and carry out whatever duty is to be carried out. So that's the kind of prapti, the fourth kind of siddhi. So we again hear in story of Bal Hanuman that he had touched the sun. He wanted the sun as a child, as a baby. He thought it is an apple. He was hungry and he tried to touch it. So that's how it is. Now a question can come here, that when Hanuman had this siddhi, why did he take a flight from Lanka to Himalayas to get that Sanjeevani herb to be saving Lakshmana? So since it was at a distant place, he could have just extended his hand and pluck it and get it. But the thing is that he did not know where exactly is the Sanjeevani. If he knew where the Sanjeevani is, he would have extended his hands and got it plucked. But it was to be searched. He had to go there and search for Sanjeevani, and therefore he had to physically go there by adhering to siddhis such as the ability to fly in a leap. And since he could not search it there also, he could not identify it, he lifted the whole Dronagiri and brought the whole Dronagiri, that hill, and he brought it down to Lanka. Anyway, so that is the fourth siddhi. The fifth is called prakamya. So where there is no ichcha abhighata. So it is in a way ichcha anabhighata. The desire is not shattered. It is desire fulfillment kind of siddhi. Prakamya. Kamana. Ichcha. So when there is that ichcha, then it will be attained and there is no obstruction to desire. And we all encounter how we mortals have these obstructions in our desires. And therefore our life is what it is, with lots of miseries. It is because our desires are not fulfilled, cannot be fulfilled. We are mortals. But here the prakamya siddhi is of that nature, that there is no ichcha vighata. Like in karma, you want to do so many things, but then you know that it is earnest desire, unselfish desire, but then it is not fulfilled because of this limitation that human life has. That ichcha vighata is very natural to us. There will be obstruction to our desires. And therefore many things will not be handled and carried out, although they are duties. And that's why we have this destitution in the form of ichcha vighata. We have ashakti because of ichcha vighata. We have limitations because of ichcha vighata. We have daurbalyam because of ichcha vighata. Or we know the fallout of Ichha Vighata. What happens by desire shattering? We don't say by desire shattered I became stronger and stronger and stronger. So it has certain negative fallouts. So those are kept at bay because of this particular siddhi. So yogi is not cursed with that Ichha Vighata kind of curse, with which we are all cursed. We all have that curse of Ichha Vighata, and we often encounter desire shattering in our life. So that's a grace. Being a Bhutavatsa, being a baby of elements, he gets that privilege. Now it should be understood here, basically yogi doesn't have Ichha. But then what is the reference here? Why this is needed when it doesn't have desires? But when you don't have desires, such as Hanuman works for Bhagavad Ichha. We all work for Svecha, our own desires. But someone like Bhakta Hanuman, although he doesn't have his own desires, yet the desires are there, and those are Bhagavad Ichha. So, therefore, such a point cannot be raised that yogi should be in any case desireless. Of course, yogi is desireless. But when he is so desireless, he becomes fit to really work as an agency for desire of the divinity. So, how can the Ichha be desired? If it is Bhagavad Ichha, nobody can really obstruct a desire of divinity. That is why he is Ishvara. Therefore, I recall Vyasa telling us about this. Like someone like Hanuman, he works under Bhagavad Ichha, not under Svecha. He doesn't have his own desire. His desire is Ichha of his Bhagwan Sri Rama. Now, who is going to obstruct desire of Bhagwan Sri Rama? So, another description that we get from Vyasa is, just as we enter the waters and come out of the waters. So water is such a substance that we can easily enter the water and then we can come out of the water. So similarly, yogi is able to enter the very Prithvi. He can do the Anupravesham and then he can also come out. So just as we get into the water and come out of the water very easily, it's not a difficult thing to enter the water and come out of the water, provided you know the swimming. So similarly, yogi is able to get into solid matters. Like one enters the water, he enters the earth. So that is the prakamya also. There is no obstruction created by other Mahabhutas, all the Mahabhutas, Prithvi, Ap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. So they do not cause Ichha Vighata, and that is the Prakamya. Now the sixth Siddhi is called Vashitva. Vashitva is to get control over, or to get the mastery over, mastership over. The yogi now becomes Swatantra in Bhuta Bhautik Padarthas. And he is also not obstructed by them, as we just now saw. He is not under governorship of them, as we have already seen. We are all under the governance of these elements, and all these elements also result and cause the Ichha Vighata and huge body of disabilities in us, inabilities in us. And see our plight, even if there is a hurricane or tempest or cyclone of the speed of 60-70 miles, what is our plight? We immediately become something like dry leaves which are under the mercy of that wind, or the small gnats. They all become victim of such strong breeze. They are just blown. So we are also similarly blown by even that cyclone or hurricane of 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. And if you recall, I just told you that on a planet called Uranus, you get the breezes flowing at unimaginable velocities which we would not be withstanding at all, something of the order of 2,000, 3,000 miles per hour. We can't be withstanding any cyclone or hurricane or tempest of that velocity. But the yogi is able to withstand. So he is not victim of earthquakes, he is not victim of volcanoes, he is not victim of infernos, he is not victim of vortexes, etc., etc. And while look at our plight, little change in weather, just 2-3 degrees up and down, we suffer. The temperature going up and down suddenly by 2-3 degrees, we suffer. And then we suffer means what? Not only with that moment, but next 8-10 days we are good for nothing, minimum. Like if you get cough and cold, it eats away your 8-10 days. It's not that it has come and gone. So this is how we are so fragile against what elements do for us. So there is abhighata. There is a lot of abhighata. We are highly vulnerable for any such elemental attacks on us, whereas the yogi has anabhighata. Anyway, so the next siddhi is 7th siddhi called Ishitva. Ishitva means control, power, ownership, mastership over bhuta bhautika padarthas. He can turn out, he can do sarjana, sthapana, sthityantara, which is mind-boggling, his ability. That's we call as miracles, and we know what miracles are. They are superhuman. We call them supernatural, but they are superhuman. Man cannot do it. It is absolutely impossible for humans to do such things which the miracle men do it. Yogis can do it. So these are mind-boggling powers, and the Ishitva is one such thing. He can create, he can generate, he can make something exist. That is called sthapanam. He can also make sthityantaram. He can also change miraculously the forms. It is because of his Ishitva, mastery. So we can have this kind of imagination, and there is a lot of scope for swapna ranjanam. That is our imagination. So everyone can try the imaginations by these Ashtamaha-siddhis. It will be fascinating, and it will be also revealing you certain things. Why are they miracles? Why a yogi has superhuman powers, supernormal powers? They are not to be called supernatural because the nature is behind him. Nature gives all endowments to him, and therefore he is able to be supernormal, superhuman. So anyway, this is a topic in Yoga Sutra that has a lot of scope for your imagination. Now, that's the 7th siddhi called Ishitva. The 8th siddhi is called Yatra Kama Vasitva. That is, in a simple word, Satya Sankalpatva. So whatever yogi desires, it happens. Whatever the yogi says, it happens. And look at our conditions. What we do want, 99.9999% doesn't happen. Whatever we say, promise, 99.99999% it doesn't happen. But yogi has Satya Sankalpatva. He says and it happens. So the things happen as he says. So he talks and nature walks. What you call as walk the talk. He talks and nature walks. It is because he is the offspring. Like the baby asks for so many things and the mother is prepared to give it. So the point is, it is also something like Kalpataru, which perhaps some of you have heard about, that celestial plant, tree. You be under it and then you have any desire, it comes forth. So that is a Kalpataru Samarthyam. So Vyasa tells us here something very pertinent. He doesn't go on doing anything. Because imagine if you have this power that you desire and then it comes forth, then what desires you will have can be imagined, and how you will totally turn the nature topsy-turvy. Natural laws will be turned topsy-turvy. The yogi doesn't do that. And therefore, the divinity gives him those powers. He knows that yogi will not be doing anything untowards. He will not be playing with powers. He won't be fiddling with the powers. He won't misuse the powers. The nature or divinity gives him freely. So, yogi doesn't end up doing anything from anything. That is what expressed in Vyasa's comment. He has the power, but he doesn't do it. This is to be noted. He has powers, but he doesn't do it. He doesn't subvert the natural laws. So he doesn't do what Vyasa tells us is Padartha Viparyasa, but he does only Shakti Viparyasa. Now poison won't become nectar, but poisonousness of that substance will be definitely mitigated or neutralized. He won't make parching sun like moon and vice versa. So he doesn't go on mismanaging the natural laws, the cosmos. He knows that it is cosmos. He doesn't make it a chaos. So he doesn't do any such thing like we would be ending up playing in case if you have that power, such powers. So Vyasa clearly tells us he doesn't make Amrita out of Visha. A poison is not made Amrita. But he can do Shakti Viparyasa. He can make the poison non-poisonous. Then I recall Vachaspati Mishra in his Tattva Vaisharadi opening out this as to how yogi uses these glorious powers. He doesn't become egotist. He doesn't become someone like who has consumed a lot of power. What happens to we mortals when we get powers? He is actually a Bhagavad Kinkara. So he doesn't dabble, interfere with Parameshwari Vyavastha. He doesn't dabble, interfere, or does not do anything topsy-turvy to the very cosmos created by Almighty. So he doesn't do any interference in such things. He maintains the order of the universe, and within the order he does whatever is acceptable. So this is clarified by the commentators. Even in Vedanta, when it is said that in liberation, Jiva Brahmaiva Bhavati, that mortal life principle becomes immortal Brahman itself. Yet Vedanta Sutra say, although he becomes like Brahman, yet there are certain things which are not in his domain. Jagat Vyapara Varjam. This is clear in Brahma Sutras, that he doesn't become the manager of the universe like the divinity the Brahman is. Because from Brahman everything comes, everything stays, everything goes. Yatova ibani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti, etc. So he is handling the whole nature. Almighty handles all the nature. He carries out the Jagat Vyaparam. But Brahma Sutras clearly say Jagat Vyapara Varja. They are excluded from him. This is expressed in Brahma Sutras, Vedanta Sutras. Anyway, although yogi gets these powers, he doesn't sit next to divinity saying that now I am your competitor, I am an alternative to you. He doesn't do that. It is all that for Devakarya, Bhagavad Kainkarya, that's all. He uses the powers only for such purposes. Otherwise, imagine if two yogis got these powers and if they still remained in a mortal wavelength, they would be disastrous. One would say, let this happen this, and somebody will say, let this happen that. So it would be a disastrous thing. But basically, when yogi is empowered with these siddhis, such mismanagement doesn't happen. Yogis don't interfere with the natural laws, the arrangement of the universe, arrangement of the cosmos. They don't dabble, they don't interfere. Anyway, we try to take brief account of the Ashtamaha Siddhis. But the sutra also mentions about Kaya Sampat. Now we are going to understand what is this Kaya Sampada. Of course, the next sutra is going to make an expression out of it. But we will now try to see what is this aspect, Kaya Sampat. How is the Kaya Sampat? How is the glory of the body? Bhuta Dharman na abhighataha. Bhuta Dharmas won't inflict or work adversely. So let us try to open out that topic of the sutra here, the same sutra which speaks about Kaya Sampada and the Kaya Sampada and Bhuta Dharma Anabhighata. But this will be kept for next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.